It started with a swipe, a mundane, disinterested flick of my thumb while I was reheating soup in the microwave. My dog, Willow, thumped her tail against the linoleum as she watched me with mild concern, probably picking up on something I hadn't yet named. Her name was Mia. The Tinder profile was minimal. One filtered picture, no bio, just the name, and age 31. But the picture froze my thumb mid-air. Not because she was beautiful, she was, or because of the way her dark curls framed a freckled face that looked vaguely artistic, a little chaotic, but because she looked just like Audrey. Not in the usual way people mean when they say that. This wasn't vague resemblance. This was uncanny, almost offensive. It was Audrey, my Audrey down to the tiny scar beneath the left eye from where a splinter of glass caught her during that cabin fire. The fire that took her. 2 years ago, I stared at the photo, heart racing, and did something I never do. I swiped right. She matched instantly. "Hi, Tom." That was the first message. My name wasn't on the profile. "Do I know you?" I typed back, feeling my palms grow slick with sweat. "Not yet." "But you will." I didn't reply. I turned off the microwave, didn't eat the soup, just stared at that profile. She had 3 photos. The second was more ambiguous, blurry almost, like it had been taken mid-movement. The third one was a picture of her sitting on a swing in a forest clearing I knew too well. It was the cabin, the one Audrey died in. That's when I started to feel the air shift. For days I didn't respond. I buried myself in work, in editing real estate listings, pretending like normalcy was just a matter of focus. But the app notifications kept coming. Not messages, just little nudges. Tinder trying to remind me she existed. Friday night, I broke. I'd had a glass of wine, maybe 2, and Willow was already asleep at my feet. I opened the chat. "What do you want?" I asked. A reply came instantly. "To talk." "You still sleep with the window cracked open, don't you?" I dropped the phone. It hit the couch cushion, harmless, but my heart hammered like it wanted out of my rib cage. That was a thing Audrey used to tease me about. She said I like to tempt ghosts in. Saturday night, I took the bait. "Is this a joke? Are you Audrey's sister? Friend?" She replied. "Not her sister. And not a joke. You left things messy." I didn't answer. I just stared at those words until the screen went dim. I started dreaming of her again. Not Mia Audrey. The dreams weren't vivid, more like fragments, her laughter echoing from somewhere I couldn't reach. The smell of her shampoo lavender and rain lingering even after I woke. I'd been through this phase before. The therapist had said it was part of the grieving process. But not like this. Never this specific. Sunday morning, I went back to the app. Mia was still there, waiting. "What do you mean I left things messy?" This time, it took her longer to reply. "You know what I mean. I didn't. Not really. But I felt the weight of it, like guilt pressing into my lungs." That night, I talked to her again. "You're not Audrey. She's dead. You don't seem sure." "Don't fuck with me." "I'm not. Meet me." She sent an address. It was in a nearby neighborhood I didn't recognize. But the map pin dropped onto a location just 2 blocks from the old bakery Audrey and I used to go to, a stretch of suburban quiet. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I got in my car. It was colder than usual for September. The house at the end of the cul-de-sac looked abandoned. Porch light off, windows dark. I rang the bell anyway. Nothing. I turned to leave, but the door creaked open behind me. No one stood there. I stepped inside. The air smelled of rose and damp earth. My chest tightened. There was a picture frame on the entryway table face down. I picked it up. It was a picture of Audrey, laughing, eyes closed, hair whipping in the wind. I had taken this photo. It wasn't on social media. It had been on my hard drive. That was the moment I realized something wasn't just wrong. It was impossible. "You kept this," a voice said behind me. I turned. She stood there. Mia only. It wasn't just the resemblance. It was the way she tilted her head, the way she rubbed her wrist, the one she'd broken in a ski trip we never talked about after. It was Audrey. Or someone playing a role too well. "You're not real," I whispered. She smiled. "And yet, here you are." I left that night without answers. She didn't stop me, didn't try to explain. Just let me walk out into the fog. The next morning, her profile was gone from Tinder. So I did something stupid. I searched her face through a reverse image tool. It found nothing. No Facebook, no Instagram, no LinkedIn. As if she didn't exist. Or had been erased. I didn't tell anyone. Not my friend Michael, who still awkwardly avoids saying Audrey's name. Not my sister, who calls every Sunday. I didn't want to hear how I was projecting. But then, things started disappearing from my apartment. First, the photo of Audrey I kept on my nightstand. Then, her hoodie from the closet. the tea she loved, the one I hadn't touched in months gone. In their place, lavender. The same scent, again and again. On my pillow. In my car. On Willow's fur. I've been writing this down because I think I need to remember it clearly. Because last night I saw her again. Not online, not at that house, but in the mirror, standing behind me, smiling. I stopped sleeping. Not insomnia, not really. More like my brain had made a quiet decision to remain alert, as if sleep was an invitation I couldn't afford to send. Even Willow was off. She'd begun to sleep by the door, ears pricked, tail occasionally twitching, growling low at nothing I could see. The smell of lavender was everywhere now, not the synthetic kind either. Real, earthy, almost wet, like it had been pulled from the soil minutes ago. I tried to rationalize, told myself I was grieving backwards, hallucinating forward. But some part of me, some raw, trembling center, knew better. Mia wasn't gone. I created a burner Tinder account. I wanted to find her again, not because I thought it would fix things, but because it felt necessary. Like finishing a thought that had been stuck in the back of my throat since she died. I uploaded a fake photo and called myself Ben. Swiped in concentric circles around the bakery neighborhood. For days, nothing. Just the usual swipe fatigue of too much flesh and not enough soul. Then she appeared again, this time, a new name, Anna. Same eyes, same scar. Her new bio was one line: "We remember the ones who forget us." I matched. She responded first. "Hi, Tom." Even behind the alias, she knew. I didn't waste time this round. What do you want from me? You're the one who came back. You're not her. Then why are your hands shaking? That night, I looked at Audrey's death certificate again. Cause: smoke inhalation. Body identified by dental records. Closed casket. And yet I couldn't remember the last time I'd looked inside that box myself. I reached out to Michael the next morning. He was the last person to see Audrey alive. We met at a diner we used to frequent, where the coffee was hot and the pancakes tasted like childhood. "I need to ask you something," I said. "That night, the fire, did you see her?" He went quiet, stirred his coffee too long. "You already know the answer," he muttered. "I don't. That's why I'm asking." Michael leaned in. "We found her scarf, her locket, bits of her coat, but no one ever saw the body, Tom. The coroner made the ID based on teeth," he nodded. "But they couldn't explain. What? Why the bedroom wasn't touched by the flames." My heart slowed. "Say that again." It was weird. The whole cabin was charred, but her room looked like the fire went around it. The mattress was untouched, and that's where they found the scarf. He looked up. "But not her." I didn't go home after that. I went back to the house, the one from the address Mia sent the first time. It was empty again. But this time, the door was locked. I broke in through the back. Inside, the scent hit me like a wall. Lavender. Stronger now. I pushed past overturned furniture, a broken lamp, and found a laptop on the floor in the bedroom. Still open, logged into a chat window I didn't recognize. No labels, just a blinking cursor. I typed, "Are you there?" 3 dots appeared. "You came back. Who are you?" "You already know." Then the screen glitched, flickered black, and a video popped up. No play button. Just running. It was security footage. My apartment. 2 days ago. I was asleep on the couch. The camera angle was from above, like from my ceiling fan. And in the footage, I wasn't alone. She was there. Audrey, or Mia, or Anna, or whatever she was, stood over me, watching. Not moving. Just watching for hours. I slammed the laptop shut and ran. At home, I found my front door unlocked. Inside, everything was normal. Except for one thing. On my kitchen table, in my handwriting, was a note. "Stop digging. You remember what you did." I don't. I didn't. But something cracked open that night. Flashback. 2 weeks before the fire. We were fighting. The kind of fight that escalates not because of what's said, but because of what isn't. Audrey had found the messages. The ones from my coworker, Jamie. I never touched Jamie. But I didn't shut it down either. "You lied," Audrey had whispered. Not screamed. Whispered. That was worse. I remember standing in the cabin's kitchen, my coffee turning cold. Her eyes glassy but dry. "You humiliated me," she said. I didn't deny it. "I just need space," she'd said, and grabbed her coat. She walked into the woods. I didn't follow. Hours passed. Then came the fire. Back in my apartment, I went to the bathroom and turned on the light, and I saw it. In the mirror, written in steam across the glass. "You left me out there." I turned. Nothing. But the smell of smoke was in the air now. Real. Thick. Ashy. I started recording everything. Phone on voice memos. Webcam running while I slept. Or tried to. I downloaded EMF detector apps. Bought an old tape recorder. Not because I believed in ghosts, but because I was out of ways to say, this isn't real. But the recordings kept catching things. Breaths when I wasn't breathing. Footsteps when Willow was asleep. And the voice, always the same. You walked away. I died cold. You don't get to forget me. Then Mia returned. This time, not on Tinder. In person. It was 3 a.m. I was half asleep, half drunk. The way grief makes you. The doorbell rang once. I opened it. She was there. Same face. Same eyes. Same scent. And she smiled. "Hi, Tom," she said softly. I opened my mouth, but all I could say was, "Audrey?" She stepped inside. Not exactly. She sat on my couch like she belonged there, legs crossed, body loose, as if this wasn't an absurd haunting or psychological break, as if she was just an old friend stopping by after years of silence. I didn't sit. I stood near the kitchen, one hand on the counter, kneading the cold marble under my palm to remind me I was still real. "What do you want from me?" I asked. My voice cracked, embarrassingly soft. She looked up at me. "Truth. I told you. I don't know anything. I stopped. Because even as I said it, the word tasted like a lie. "Then let me remind you." She stood and walked past me. Her hand brushed my arm ice, sharp and electric. And then she disappeared into my bedroom. I followed. She was standing by the bookshelf, pulling down an old shoebox I hadn't seen in years. It was covered in dust, half crushed under books I'd never read. She opened it like she knew exactly what she was looking for. Inside, a necklace. Audrey's. The silver one with the compass charm. She held it up. This never burned. My knees buckled, and I sat on the bed. "I thought it did." "No, you buried it. In the shoebox. Like a guilty dog hiding its kill." She tossed the necklace on the bed beside me. It clinked against the wood frame. I stared at it. My hands were shaking. I didn't remember doing that. I didn't remember. So much. "You think grief is forgetting," she said, "but forgetting is what you did. Grief is remembering what you chose to forget." The first time I cheated on Audrey, it was emotional. Jamie and I had long lunches. We laughed too loud at each other's jokes. I let her brush my shoulder a little too long, didn't delete her flirty messages. I never kissed her. Not until the night before the cabin trip. Not until Audrey had already packed. I told myself it was meaningless. I told myself I would end it. That the trip with Audrey would reset us. But the moment Audrey touched my arm that night, I flinched. And she noticed. She always noticed. "You think this is revenge?" I asked, my voice hoarse. "No," she said. "This is reckoning." She sat again, knees tucked beneath her. "You left me out there, not just in the woods, in our life, in every decision you made after Jamie. You were already gone before I ever was." I didn't deny it, because I was starting to remember now. The night of the fire, I hadn't called her. I hadn't looked for her. I stayed in the cabin, angry, sulking, justifying her silence as punishment. I drank 3 whiskeys and fell asleep on the couch. When I woke up, the world was orange, and I ran. She stood again and walked toward the window. The moon cast pale light across her face. And for a moment, she looked. Wrong. Not Audrey. Not Mia. Not anything that had once been human. Her face flickered, like bad reception, then settled. "Why now?" I asked, barely able to breathe. "Why are you here now?" She turned. "Because she's pregnant." The words hit like ice water. "What?" "Jamie. She's 2 months. You don't know yet, but she does. She's been trying to tell you for a week." I backed up, hit the dresser. "No. She would have told me." "She's afraid," Mia said calmly. "Afraid that it'll tether you, that it'll root something rotten in soil already poisoned." I stared at her. "You're not Audrey," I said again. "You can't be." But even I didn't believe it now. The next morning, Jamie called. We hadn't spoken since the awkward brunch on Sunday tense. Too many silences, too many times I checked my phone. "Can we meet?" she asked. "Yeah, sure. Your place?" "No," she said quickly. "Yours." Something in her voice was cracked. When she arrived, her eyes were swollen. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. We sat at opposite ends of the couch. "I'm pregnant," she said. No preamble. I exhaled through my nose, tried to nod, but my vision tunneled. "And I can't keep it," she added. "Not like this." "Jamie, no, don't. Don't say anything yet, just listen." I did. She told me everything. How she found the messages on my computer, the old emails to Audrey, my unsent drafts, how she'd noticed I'd been distant lately, staring at mirrors, sleeping with the lights on, talking in my sleep about a woman in the woods. That night, after Jamie left, I went into the bathroom. The mirror was blank. No messages, No words, just me. And yet behind my eyes there was something else. Something watching. I turned off the light. Lavender. Always lavender. Later, as I tried to sleep, my phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. Cabin. Tomorrow. Sunset. Alone, I replied. Who is this? 3 dots. Then, you owe me the truth. The drive to the cabin was exactly as I remembered. Narrow roads threading through overgrown pines. The radio cutting out halfway through the first song. My fingers tightening around the steering wheel with every mile. Willow was in the back seat. I hadn't meant to bring her, but she refused to leave the car. When I tried to drag her out of the garage, she simply stared at me with those amber eyes and wouldn't budge. Maybe she knew. Maybe she always knew. It was almost sunset when I reached the clearing. The cabin had been rebuilt, sort of. There was no furniture inside, just beams and half-finished walls. The fire had spared the foundation, but the new construction looked like it had been started and abandoned. Grass grew through floorboards. Vines crawled up the exterior. And the air smelled like wet stone and old secrets. I stepped out. Willow stayed put. Smart dog. Inside, it was quiet. Not peaceful, just silent, like the woods were holding their breath. A shadow moved near the back wall. I turned fast. She stood there. Mia, Audrey, both. Neither. Dressed in the same flannel she used to wear on cold nights, barefoot on the broken floor. Her hair was longer now. Or maybe it had never changed. I came, I said. I know. We stood in that ruin. The weight of all that unspoken history pressing in. I suddenly felt like I was 16 again, caught sneaking in, waiting to be punished by something divine. I need to know, I said. Her voice was flat. Know what? If you're her. If you're Audrey. She walked past me and sat on a beam, cross-legged, perfectly calm. I was. My stomach twisted. What does that mean? She looked up, expression unreadable. It means I remember everything. But I'm not only her anymore. I felt lightheaded. Why did you come back? To make you remember. She reached into her coat and pulled out something wrapped in cloth. Unfolded it slowly. A journal. Black leather, worn edges. I knew that journal. It was Audrey's. I took it from her, hands trembling, and flipped through pages. The ink had run in places, but the entries. Tom flinched when I touched his arm today. I asked if he was tired. He said no. But I know what guilt smells like. I saw his phone, a message from her. He told her he missed her laugh. My laugh has always been right here. I'll go to the cabin. I need to clear my head. Maybe start over. Alone, if I have to. I stopped. If something happens to me, make sure they know. I tried. I really tried. I looked up. My throat hurt from holding too much air. You were going to leave me, I said. She didn't flinch. You already left me first. We sat in silence. The wind moved through the broken window like a sigh. I didn't know about the fire until it was too late, I said. You knew I was out there, she said softly. And you stayed on the couch. That was the fire. Outside. The sun dropped behind the trees. The woods darkened. I heard Willow barking, then silence. I turned. The door had shut. I lunged for it, but it wouldn't move. Mia Audrey rose slowly, and now there was something different in her posture. Less woman, more shadow. You don't get to run from this. I'm not, I shouted. I came here. I'm here now. And what does that fix? I don't know. I was panting now. The room grew colder. My breath clouded in front of me. What do you want me to say? I shouted. She stepped forward. I want you to say what you should have said the night you buried me in silence. I cracked. I'm sorry. It spilled out of me in a sob. I'm sorry I didn't chase after you. I'm sorry I didn't stop drinking. I'm sorry I let the worst parts of me become routine. She watched. I should have told you about Jamie. I should have told you everything. But I was weak and scared and selfish. The tears came then. Not performative, just true. I sank to my knees. I never stopped loving you, I whispered. Even when I failed you. She knelt in front of me, touched my cheek, and for a moment, she was Audrey again. Warm, kind, human. I know, she said. And then she was gone. The door creaked open. Willow sat just outside, tail wagging. She looked at me like I was new. I stumbled out, clutching the journal. The woods were quiet again. Too quiet. Jamie called that night. She didn't speak for a long time after I answered. Then, quietly, I saw someone in my apartment. A woman. She looked like someone I saw in your pictures. I didn't respond. She left this on my table, Jamie said. A beat. It was a compass necklace. Jamie met me at the old train station cafe downtown. It was pouring sharp, angry rain that turned the sidewalks slick and made the air smell like wet brick and rust. She looked pale, her coat soaked through, eyes rimmed red. She didn't speak at first. Just slid the necklace across the table. The compass charm spun once, then stopped. I didn't touch it, she said. I didn't either. It felt like it would bite. We sat in silence. Two people who once thought they were heading somewhere together, now just survivors of something too strange to name. She was in my kitchen, Jamie said. Just standing there. I blinked and she was gone. You're not crazy, I said. She didn't laugh, didn't even flinch. I didn't think I was. That's the part that scares me. Later, at my apartment, I lit every candle I owned. Not out of ritual, just to push the dark into the corners where it belonged. I pulled Audrey's journal from the bag and opened to the last page. Something I hadn't seen before, words scrawled faintly in the margin, maybe with the edge of a pencil or nail. Truth lives where we're afraid to look. It wasn't in her handwriting. I thought that would be the end, that some final conversation with a ghost would undo the knots in my chest. But the days that followed only proved what I feared. It wasn't over. Willow began growling at corners. Again, my phone rang at 3:14 a.m. 3 nights in a row. Always the same number, always no answer. And each time, before I hung up, I'd hear faint breathing. Labored. Like someone speaking between sobs. One morning I woke up to find dirt in the hallway, like someone had tracked it in from the woods. Pine needles. Blackened ash. On the bathroom mirror, you said it too late. I started seeing Audrey in dreams, only they weren't dreams. Not really. I'd open my eyes, and she'd be standing at the foot of the bed. Hair wet. Clothes charred. Her skin split at the cheeks, smoke curling from the wound. She wouldn't speak. She would just stare, like she was waiting for me to finally break. Jamie stopped answering my messages after the fourth encounter. I don't blame her. She had enough ghosts of her own. I decided to visit the site one last time. The cabin was gone. Not burned, not demolished, just gone. In its place, a circle of blackened earth. Nothing grew there. No bird sang. It felt like standing on the roof of a buried memory. I left the journal in the center. And the necklace. Walked away. Didn't look back. Weeks passed. I started over. Deleted the dating apps. Blocked every unknown number. Even tried therapy again. I told my new therapist the truth, or some version of it. He smiled too much. Wrote down too little. I stopped going. One night I walked Willow through the neighborhood. Crisp autumn air. Leaves like rusted coins. We passed a woman standing under the street lamp. Hair dark, posture familiar. She smiled when she saw me. I froze, but it wasn't her. Not this time. Just a stranger. And yet, as I walked away, she whispered something behind me. Too soft to catch, too real to ignore. I don't know what I believe anymore. I know what I saw. I know what I lost. I know that grief is a room you can leave, but only if you leave the door open behind you. Because one day, it'll come back, wearing a face you remember, asking if you still sleep with the window open, and if you do, she'll be waiting.